Hi everybody, Morgan Gecko here. We're on Calypso. We are at Atlas Haven, and today I'd like to show you a landmark, so to speak, that I feel certain that a lot of the players in the game right now, if they were aware that it even existed, they probably haven't been out to see it. So I'd like to take you guys over and show you a little point of interest. So let's get to it. I'm going to remove the extraneous stuff from my screen. We are coming out of the west gate of Atlas Haven. That was a faux cervix that we just passed. I'm going to run down here to where the estates are. Once upon a time you came through here, right around here on this bend there used to be a stuffed rabbit sitting right on the side of the road. And that was the marker for the thing that we're going to check out here. We have, for your enjoyment, a weapon museum. It was put together by It was a player named Fishface. Well, let's go see the melee weapons first. His name was Alex Fishface Walton. He was, I don't think you could say he was an uber, but he was a fairly well-skilled player. Super person. He was really interested in helping the new players, and I think he really had everybody's respect for that. He later went on to doing a lot of work with Atlas Haven Radio and Arcadia Radio, and putting on dance parties out at that island off of Port Atlantis. You know, a lot of good stuff. But anyway, he thought it'd be a good idea to put together a museum where all the weapons that were in the game could be on display and arranged in the order of what should be your natural skill procession. So the first thing we have over here in the melee section is the attack chips, and we've got cryogenic attack, cryogenic strike, lacerating attack, lacerating strike. Same thing for combustive, corrosive, kinetic, and electric. You have the attack chips on the top and the strike chips on the bottom. Don't ask me what the difference is between the two. I didn't major in chips. They also have a deceleration chip and an acceleration chip. I'm not sure why you would use something like this. Perhaps with the deceleration chip you could hit your opponent or your prey with it, or whatever was chasing you, and it would allow you to run faster than it. I don't know, but that's it. So in here we have all of the bladed weapons, or bladed of a sort. We have Argonaut Claws, which I think this is interesting to find out what these are, because I've never seen these in the game. These monstrosities were created by attaching the carved out hands of an Argonaut to a pair of basic Castorian in-knuckle frames. The result is a sturdy first weapon capable of inflicting terrible wounds upon its target. All use of these weapons on Calypso has been outlawed, as their mere presence seems to cause Argonauts to raid human settlements. This particular specimen seems to originate from a young Argonaut. That, to me, would say that these are, for all intents and purposes, not in the game. Perhaps you can loot one as a rare item, but I doubt that you'll ever see anybody using those. And they're rare enough that I doubt anybody would use them. They'd want to keep it as pristine as they could. In here we have all of our bladed stuff. We have our swords on the top and our knives, or what's rated as knives, on the bottom. And from left to right, they are from the least skilled. Using swords as an example, we've got the Castorian Combat Endblade, and it's got a required level of 0, and then all this other information. On up to the Genesis Rainbow Sword, which has a requirement of 66 in your swordsman damage and swordsman hit, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 150 damage. That's pretty good. I can't use it, but and the swords all the way from the Castorian's Survival Endblade A to the Genesis Prism of Destruction L. There are some L weapons up here, which says to me that this has been added to relatively recently, but it's not up to date, mainly because you don't see any R matrix weapons up here, and the R matrix, because there's so many of them, they would fit in holes between the requirements for all of these things. So then over here we have the smackers, or the energy gloves, the Laughlin gloves. We've got the Chikara Mudra Mark 1 and Mark 2. We've got Omegaton Power Claws. And then over here we have the clubs, the maces that were in the game, either ones you could craft or ones that you could loot. They have from the Laughlin Masher 1, which is an L, up to the Force Mace Basher Adapted, which is also an L. So they don't have any of the crafted clubs on display. I know there are crafted clubs because I have the blueprints for several of them. So, and then we have a selection of whips from the Dominatrix Original Viper on up to the Och-O Torment's Taden Whip. This one's kind of dramatically named also. The Umbranoid Space-Time Warp Whip. The Umbranoids, they were a mutant race that used to be in the game. They were very popular to hunt. I don't know why they took them out. They took out the Calamasoids also, but then they put them back in the game, and they're over in that swampy area on Hemithera. Over on the other side here, as you can see, it says ranged. This building is also owned by Fish, so he has some real estate in the game. I know now that he has these two, and he also has an apartment on Arcadia. Over here we have all of the long rifles. These are the ones that use energy cells. They begin with the Solimate Apollo and go up to the ISIS LR-78 PT. And then they have some other low skill requirement Solimate guns. Some of these are only available either getting one off of auction, or you might pick one up in loot. I've found several of them in recent years, and I just have them hanging in my apartment. Over here we have the pistols, beginning with the ever popular M2100 and going up to the ISIS HL-15. I don't know if I can pick it out. There we go. Ignore that phone call there. This is the Course H400. This used to be the most popular pistol in the game. You used to be able to loot these off of Bathoids and Pfeffoids. Pfeffoids especially. I used to loot a lot of them off of Pfeffoids. And they had very high markup. They still have very high markup. You'll see people looting these sometimes. All it has is a huge ass number for identification. These are the Gauss Rifles. You will see, let me bring my stuff back up here for a second. If you look in your skills, not skills, sorry. If you look in your professions, you will see that one of the professions that you can achieve is a Gauss sniper. I have never seen a Gauss gun in game. They must have been there at one time, because A, we have these hanging on the wall, and B, you have a profession for using those. So that is that. And then down here we have a selection of amps. You have some more of the pistols. I hadn't really checked, but they could be a continuation of these. I hadn't really looked to see what the skill level is of these, but they're on display because they're They're notable guns in the game, as are these. EWE EP40 Mercenary Modified. Sounds good anyway. This mannequin is, for all intents and purposes, an homage to Fishface, because this is what Fishface looked like. You never saw him unless he was in armor, without his black jeans, his black jacket with hood, and he always had a samurai sword with him. I don't know what his proficiency with the samurai sword was, but he was always packing. It was a good look. Then in here are your BLP weapons. Everything from the ISIS CB5 on over to the Geotrek LP 540 Tau. And they're all in increasing skill levels. Over here they have I expect that these weapons, if they're not high-level crafted weapons, are high-level loot weapons. This one in particular, I'd like to have, although I don't have any business using it, but it's the Star Mercury weapon, and it was named after Jenna Star Mercury, a very high level player that was in the game. I don't know if he still is or not, but you saw his name all the time on the Hoff boards and in the various competitions that were held through the year. These are all the BLP pistols. This is the Omegaton ASG4 Wild Boar. It's a auto shotgun, which I thought was pretty cool. We also have an upstairs in this particular building, and it has all of the rocket launchers in increasing skill levels. And this was a place to come to see how you were doing and what your next gun should be. So anyway, this was a labor of love for fish. He had to leave the game for personal reasons, I believe. And he still maintains a presence, though, because he still owns real estate in the game. So maybe someday we'll see him roaming around here again. So anyway, that is the weapon museum. I hope you found this interesting. If you haven't been here before, you need to come over and check it out. There's a lot of interesting stuff to see. So that's about it. Y'all take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.